We are good to go. So, good morning.
Morning.
How are you? So, I'm with Louise Searles here, and she's got an amazing offer for everybody. And I just thought we need to kind of crack on, have a chat, and just see what this amazing offer is, because now's the time really to kind of help everybody. I think help each other, and see what we can do to kind of support each other and get through this, give each other ideas and things. Because I think if we all kind of come together, then obviously we're all going to thrive and get through this the other side, aren't we? And I think, you know, we need to look after ourselves and our house first, and then help the wider community as well. So it's awesome that like Louise has joined me this morning as well. And we've kind of got ourselves all prepped, got all our technical stuff sorted as well, which is really cool. So Louise, I'll let you introduce yourself, because I think there might be a few people that have obviously seen you comment on groups and things like that, but might not 100% know exactly what you do and where you come from before we kind of get into the amazing cool offer you're going to make for everybody.
Fabulous, thank you. So I'm basically an educator. I don't really do anything else. I've been within the holistic beauty and nail industry for over 30 years now. And I started as a part-time sessional within further education, and slowly grew my hours to full-time. And then one of the wonderful things that happens to me is that I found the world of education, curriculum design, quality assurance, and was introduced to City and Guilds. So back in the day, when MVQs were a new thing, I became an external verifier and helped centres in that transition between qualifications into NVQs. And I then, it was actually 19 years ago now, actually left FE and started up my own training organisation. And at the time, there weren't the number of organisations that there were. There just wasn't. There was either further education, adult education, and that was it. So we were in a very privileged position, and I was absolutely adamant that I could do things in what I thought was a better way. And that better way was providing more bespoke training for learners. And so we focused on the adult returner, and what we were able to do was to create bite-sized training courses. We still had groups, so it wasn't one-to-one, small groups, but we took them through a journey from start to end of manicure and pedicure, and then facials, and then waxing, and then eye treatments. And we embedded all of the soft skills throughout that, so that they could actually end up with a business that worked around themselves. 19 years on, well, actually it was sort of more about 7 years ago, we started finding that we couldn't support learners in quite the same way, because they needed even more flexibility than we could offer. And we found ourselves back into that dreaded funding arena, and we found that all of our lovely adults had to be kind of pigeonholed into our programs, where we had to do things in a particular way. And that was fine. We were able to meet all of that criteria, but we still couldn't really support our learners the way in which we wanted to do. So I had this vision of blended learning, where learners were able to buy what I deemed at the time as being a course in the box. And the idea being is that they could work from home, they could practice, they could get support and study, and then they would then come for sort of one-to-one training, and get regulated qualifications. And for me, it's always been about regulated qualifications. And I appreciate that there are stepping stones to get, but I think we found ourselves in a situation where people now realise that unless they've got really good underpinned qualifications, blocks are being put in the way for them. So I liken it to, if you take your driving test with a manual car, then you'll be able to drive any types of car. If you take it with an automatic, then you'll only ever be able to drive an automatic car. And I think that's where we are. So we now do a lot of upskilling from people that have got really good training, and are working in the industry to actually get regulated qualifications. And our resources that we've created will help that process. So we really take apart the idea of doing a course. I mean, our strapline is we don't run courses, we actually create therapists. And there is a process that you go through to become a therapist, and you never stop learning. It's not a case of, I've got my bit of paper, now I can do absolutely anything. It's a case of what do you need to know, and finding out what it is that you need to know. And there are some amazing training opportunities out there now. So what we've got, are some online resources. Do you want me to show you?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic if you could like show everybody what your resources are like, because there's a lot of people been asking me about like how I do some of my online stuff, and of course I'm still building that for my learners. So yeah, it takes time, but yeah, screen share that would be awesome.
Share that like that. Okay, that's not the one I want. That's our website. Come back to that in a moment. So we have a product called Therapy Learning Resources. And within the therapy learning resources, we've categorized them into specifically anatomy and physiology, blended practical skills, discovery skills, health and safety skills, and our training support, and then some professional development, which we're still sort of growing at the moment. So if we look at the discovery courses, so this is something that anybody can just pop on and do a discover in reflexology or discover the industry. And these are just some free resources which we've created to help people know what it is that they don't know. Because the biggest thing that people ask me is what's the difference between an MVQ, a VRQ, City and Guilds, VTCT, all these acronyms people just don't understand. So they go down a route and then find that actually maybe that route's not going to take them where they want to. They don't understand the difference in the professional organisations, what they mean, if you've got an accredited, if you've got regulated, the word qualification, the word diploma, certificate. You know, these are all words that, depending on which world you live in, mean something to somebody. So discovery course. And then what we do, which is something that you know, is part of the offer if it's helpful, is we have these blended programs where if we take the body massage, for instance, there is a mixture of practical and theory. So these are all the different modules, and in each of the modules they are, as you can see, all the videos here. So what we've done is we've broken down the individual techniques so that they are practical, so that you can actually watch them being done. So we give these to our learners as part of the learning, which means that we've been able to concentrate the learning on their professional practice, so that when the learners come to us, they've already got some background and we can pull it together much more quickly. So we're not cutting the course down, but we're actually giving them more time to spend on their practical what we call our professional practice. So working on clients and actually doing the job from start to finish, with all of the meet and the greet, the conversation, all of those little things that once you've got your piece of paper, you then start to develop your confidence in. And then to support that, we have got the anatomy and physiology. And this is where I think that people can really take advantage of these right now. So if we start with this is the level 3. This one here is the anatomy and physiology and pathology that goes towards the complementary therapies. But this one is something that I've developed for our beauty therapist. So if I take cardiovascular, for instance.
Oh, my favourite system.
Having gone through all 12 systems multiple times and actually putting them together, I'm not actually sure which is my favourite system. I think it's probably endocrine.
Is it? No, I've definitely I like teaching A&P anyway. It's definitely my gig. But like when I used to do like the cardiovascular, the heart circulation, that used to be just my favourite one. I couldn't wait to kind of teach that one as well when I was at college and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. I like that. But I'm loving this as well.
Kind of the aha moments, isn't it, when you suddenly see that actually almost every single system dovetails into, you know, they're not on their own at all.
Well, there's nothing in isolation. They all link. It's impossible to almost group it when you want to teach it, because you kind of want to link into everything as you're talking.
Absolutely, yes, I know. So we've started off in here with what you need to know. So this is actually taken from the regulatory framework. So whether you're doing a VTCT, a SIBTAC, ITEC, whatever it is, the syllabus will be exactly the same. We've then got a glossary of terms, because there's lots of words that people need to learn, and we've got a list of sort of additional resources as well. So I have linked to other outside resources. There are some fantastic websites. The problem is that all of the websites like the Khan Academy and some of the stuff on YouTube, they are either over the top and far more than you actually need to know, so it actually really confuses you, or they're not enough. So what this resource does is it really tailors it into, and what I've tried to do is actually give the learning to give more depth and breadth, but kept it very focused on exactly what you need to know for the treatments that we're doing as well. So I've then clustered them into little areas. So we've got structure and function. As you can see, there's a video, there's a transcript, there's some visuals, and there are some review questions as well. And there's also an activity booklet as well. We come down to the assessment, there's a workbook that can be downloaded and then filled in with activities. There's lots of quizzes as well. So each of the systems have been broken down. Cardiovascular has got 1, 2, 3, 4. But they're all more or less the same. I think the biggest one for this system is probably, the muscles. Yeah, so we've separated those into areas of the body as well, so that if you're learning all the muscles, then you've got very specific areas rather than trying to do all of them all in one go. And of course, when we teach the massage, we teach that area when we're teaching the back massage.
Yeah, I have to say, I used to always link mine to the practical at the time. It was easier to talk bones and muscles when you've got it in front of you.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So the way in which I've set this up is as a learning resource for our learners. I'm in the process of actually transitioning over to be a standalone resource that people can take from start to finish. And we've spoken to VTCT as an awarding body because they offer the standalone anatomy and physiology at level 3 for therapists. So it is something that, having done all of this, gathering all the evidence, whether the centre that you want to go to does the assignment based work, you've got all the workbooks there that you can use as evidence towards that qualification, or if you're going to sit the multiple choice online exam, you've got plenty of practice with lots of multiple choice questions. And for my learners, because we do City and Guilds and they don't have a standalone level 3 beauty qualification, which is a bit frustrating for me, they sit the qualification just as one qualification. So when they do the massage, it has the anatomy and physiology already built in. So I've built it so that each of the little units have got their own quiz, if you like, but then at the end of the other way around, so blood's got its own little quiz, and those are probably about 10 to 15 questions where the answer just pops up, this is right or this is wrong. But then when you come to the assessment, that assessment has got all of the questions together, but you then get randomly picked about 30 and you have to get 80% correct.
Fantastic.
If you get 80%, then you can move on to the next module. You can, take the modules at any time. But the reason that we have the 80% there is that right at the very end, when you completed the whole course, it's linked to a digital credential. So the learner will get a certificate, basically, and a badge that says that they have completed, and then the syllabus will drop down from the badge. So this is something that can be used for CPD. It can be used for working with different insurance companies if they want evidence that there has been anatomy and physiology covered. And we're talking to lots of different insurance companies at the moment because with the private schools that don't necessarily take regulated qualifications, they have their own programs, if you like, accredited through the insurance company, then this is something that the insurance companies would look at as yes, you can embed that in your practical training. So that's where we are going with that. Yeah,
sounds awesome. Love it.
Been a lot of work, but it's been very interesting to do.
Yeah, but that's taken a long time. I know how long it's taken me just to do what I've done so far, and
it's been a long-term project. And as I said, the idea sort of started festering, is probably the right word, in my mind about 7 years ago. But I didn't know how to do any of it, and I started by looking at sort of research, what is out there at the moment, and I had to say I was incredibly disappointed with what was out there at the time, and it just, for me, just wasn't, it didn't match the criteria. It wasn't engaging, wasn't audio. All of these have got MP3 audio, so that you can actually have me waffling onto you about the endocrine system. Gargle. when you're on the side of a football pitch watching people or pitching children play, or whatever it is that you're doing. So I've tried to make it sort of really multi-mode of learning styles as well.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, I've just started doing some audio on some of my stuff as well. Again, it's all just, again, building and building. I mean, that's been, you know, I started working on that in November. So that's been months to get 20 courses uploaded into it and start now doing the audio and start now dropping video in. At the moment, it's just been a copy of my manuals up and over with a few pictures. So yeah, this is fantastic to kind of see as well. And I think it's got so many other uses and applications already. My head's like just ticking things off on a list of going, okay, this, it could be used for this and this. And so, yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I think for this purpose of this video, Donna, there's two aspects, as you said, the sort of the offer, but also I'd like to think that out of this horrendous situation that's happening at the moment, there will be some really good things that will come. There will be lots of learning that people will do, and if what I've done here, you know, triggers somebody's kind of thought processes to think, actually, I can do something in a different way to give resilience. I mean, some of the tips and guides that you've been giving in your work over the last couple of days have just been phenomenal. And I know that a lot of people will be thinking, but I can't do that. You know, it's all right for you, but I can't do that. I don't know this and I don't know that. Well, honestly, I didn't know anything about anything when I first came to do this. But you learn. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to answer questions, to point you in the right direction, and to, you know, YouTube's an amazing place for learning things.
Definitely.
We worked out how to use Zoom and share screens and things this morning, didn't we? So
who knew that I could get you to share a screen? I knew I could, but didn't know you could. You know, I learned something new this morning.
So, I mean, what we're doing I just wanted to say from our point of view, from our training school as well, we've only got small groups. At the moment, we are still running. We have put a policy in place. I think as an industry, we are one of the best industries as far as our health and hygiene practices anyway. But, you know, one of the scary things is you really don't know if you're carrying. And that is the very, very scary thing. And you could potentially pass things on without knowing. So, but, you know, there are plenty of people that are still going to work and still doing.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I've down tools at the moment. I say down tools. I'd made the plan to start switching virtual anyway as a backup last week, and contacted everybody I've got. So, and I have the capability to go virtual with the stuff that I was due to teach anyway. They're the kind of things I can do virtually, because they require case study practice and stuff like that as well. Anyway, and my son's school obviously is now partially shut. They're only opening to basically the SATs years anyway, so I'm kind of prepped and ready, whereas if I'd had some other physical kind of stuff, I probably would be kind of going to a certain degree, but as I'm at the option where I'm like, actually I don't need to be in, I might as well not, and try and cut contamination down as much as I possibly can, even though work's been deep cleaned. I've gone through stacks of barbicide spray.
Yes. Yeah.
Wish I'd taken shares out in that.
I know, me too.
Who knew? I'm taking out shares in sanitizer next.
So coming back to the offer, so as you can see, you've got prices on here, but what I would like to do is I would like to offer any training organisation that is taking the steps to continue working with their learners, but offering remote support and access, to give them access to any of these programs up until Easter, to actually help them on their way. So it might be that you're only doing manicure and pedicure and you just need those things alongside. So we've got mini courses, we've got professional practice, principles of health and hygiene, ironically. So if there is anything on here that, and there was another one that I thought might be useful as well. Some of them have got practical and some of them haven't. I think the eye treatments has got the anatomy and physiology embedded in it as well. The waxing has got quite a lot of practical as well, so application of different wax formulations. So if there is anything within here that we can share with training providers to help them keep their learners engaged until they can come back to them, then I would be very happy to do that for free.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, it's an amazing resource anyway, and it's great for you to kind of show that as an example, but then to allow other people that opportunity to be able to kind of, like say, keep their learners going, keep their learning going and things as well. And it's kind of almost like kind of trialing it, I guess, in a way as well, isn't it? That it could be something they might want to use in the future as well. But I think it's just, that's amazing.
Well, I think one of the sort of the scary things, and I've seen a lot of posts from therapists that are almost making their clients feel a bit uncomfortable that they're cancelling, which I think is totally wrong.
Mm.
But at the same time, you really, I think, a lot of people are quite desperate that if people are cancelling training courses, are cancelling appointments, they've got no income at all. So it's trying to find ways to keep everybody going, because we're all in exactly the same boat. I mean, I'm not at work this week. I'm meant to be on holiday. I'm meant to be in Mallorca this week.
Oh man.
You know, and in some ways, I'm really, really grateful to our company that we were booked with that actually made the decision to cancel, because we were meant to be flying out on Monday, and over the weekend my husband and I were sort of thinking, should we be going? You know, even if the flights are flying, should we be going? Is that the right thing to do? And there is that kind of moral dilemma, isn't there, of you know, what should you do, what could you do, and what must you do?
Well, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I've got friends that are, you know, trying to get flights back from Egypt and Mexico at the moment that have been away for like the last, you know, week or 3 or 4 days and stuff, and they're waiting for flights.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard. But like I say, yeah, I think, you know, we need to do what we can, and I think I'm seeing a reasonable percentage of camaraderie kind of with everybody. I think at the moment on some of the forums and things like that, there's the odd little thing slipping through, the odd negative Nelly, and you can either go one of two ways, I think, with things. And I'm one of those, I am annoyingly positive kind of person. And for me, yeah, I can't help it. And even without, like, say, the technical skills that I do have, I've always been that kind of person that I go straight into organisation mode and planning mode. It's later, I'm the kind of person that I'll probably sit there a couple months after it's over and go, oh God, what was that?
I mean, it must be very, very difficult for people that don't have that ability, that their mind just immediately switches into negative, depressive, anxiety mode. And I think if you are in that situation, tell somebody that that's how you're feeling, and have a conversation, because there are lots of great coaches out there as well that are, and I've seen lots of posts from that point of view as well, from a coaching point of view, is, you know, let's have a conversation, let me coach you through this, because there are ways of looking at it, and the thoughts we put in our head influence our emotions, and it's our emotions that drive our actions. So if we can change those thoughts, then everything else can change.
Definitely, yeah. I've seen some great things from some of the coaches as well, actually, some of the business coaches. There's like groups where they're bringing people together, you know, they're offering, like, you know, free conversations. You know, I'm not even going to label myself in that area, but I'm quite happy to sit and have a chat, which is why I put a post up the other day. I was like, if you just want to chat, I'll have a chat. I don't know what I can do, but I'll have a chat with you.
Did you see the Les Mills post that I put in some of the groups this morning?
Yes, yeah. And you know, actually, because you know what, we recently have taken up Pilates actually, and we've going virtual with that. And I thought, actually, do you know what, I need to do a few more bits like that. And actually, my son's supposed to have PE today, and the teachers have actually put a Joe Wicks YouTube link.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Doing that this afternoon. I'm doing PE.
And I think that's what's really, really important, is that we keep our mindset positive, and that we keep our routine as well. So I've said to all of our learners that when we run our reflexology, we run it for 18 weeks, and then they've done all their practical assessments. They then have to go and do case studies. And we've said to all of those therapists, if Wednesday was your reflexology day, don't stop it. You know, keep that reflexology, even if you're only doing reflexology on yourself, which is not quite so easy to do on your feet, but you can obviously do it on your hand as well, or you can, you know, work on the assignments, bits and pieces.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have to say that because I've got some sessions of reflex to teach, and but I'm quite lucky actually because ages ago I needed to get one, and I've got one of those like chopped off fake fit foot
Yes,
or whatever. Yeah, I love that. So I'm like,
heads, but the feet.
yeah, I really could do with the other foot though.
Yes.
It only comes with one. I needed two.
The other thing that that I've got up at the school is some heads and some arms and some legs, and these were created by a colleague of mine that I met through my external verifier work called Lorraine Morris, and she created fake bits of bodies for electrolysis practice. That was the first thing that she did them for. So you can actually insert into this material. We use it for facial practice, so when we've got sort of odd numbers as well. I've got 2 feet.
Oh, you're so lucky. I've got fake half faces I use for mostly lash extensions, and then like obviously like I can do facial massage and things with it as well. I've obviously got my nail trainers because I think the nail trainers are amazing, so I've got those, and obviously got my 1 foot which is painted. One of my students painted the toes.
But all of those things, it's training academies thinking, how can I make myself more resilient for, you know, another, hopefully there won't ever be another type of
I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think this is at the moment where we kind of sit back and go, do you know what, this is a time for reflection. This is exposing parts of our businesses that we hadn't considered.
Yeah.
And now we need to kind of do a little bit of future proofing, because who knows, you know, we could have, I don't know, a terrorist attack and we've got to stay in for a couple of weeks and stuff, you know, so you know, it's we could have things like that going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is awesome though. But I'm loving this. I'm loving the offer. So if people wanted to take you up on that offer, what have they got to do?
Okay, so educators, or even if they're students and they're struggling, just basically reach out, contact me. So I respond to every single form of communication that there is. It's sort of like an operation first thing in the morning to check them all. But you know, whether you're a Facebook person, contact me on Messenger. I'm happy for you to put my phone number in the post as well. Email, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, I do them all.
Fantastic, awesome. So that way at least people can contact you then, can't they? And
yeah, just make contact, let me know what it is that you need, what you're working towards, and how I can help you best. And I'll do my
awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, I think it looks a really good system. Really good system. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to that before we like finish anything up?
I don't think so. I guess just to sort of be aware of what it's all about, and yeah, and anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Awesome. Okay, what I'm going to do now then is I will just well, obviously anybody who wants to kind of contact Louise, please do. Obviously she's giving you a very in-depth kind of virtual show around and stuff as well, but obviously you might have some more questions, so that's really cool. And then just let us know, and I'm gonna press our stop button now.